Yo, what's up everyone? Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan here, and in today's video I am answering questions from the community, and I also want to give you the opportunity to have your questions answered by me. So if you would check the link in the description, I have a short 4-question survey. It'll probably take you about 30 seconds to answer and will give me some ideas to make new videos on. So again, if you wouldn't mind taking that, it'd take you maybe 30 seconds or so, and just submitting your question to me, it'd be greatly appreciated, and I can answer that for you. And then also, as a kind of ethical bribe, I do have my free my ebook on there that you can download for free for submitting your question. So thank you for that in advance, and now let's go ahead and jump into a few questions that I received already. So the first one: how to work around EMD, Earnest Money Deposit. So here's the thing about Earnest Money Deposit, and it's kind of a tough one that I don't necessarily want to talk about on YouTube. But first of all, the goal is not to be doing deals without putting up earnest money. You kind of lose that mindset. The goal is to think, how can I do deals with earnest money? How can I make more money to put up more earnest money? How can I put contracts out there with higher earnest money deposits so I can increase my chances of getting competitive deals under contract? And don't worry, that money is not at risk. You can put up an earnest money deposit and have it be fully refundable when you put proper exit clauses into your contracts. And then you got to realize, yo, $1,000 really is not that much money. You can do the majority of deals out there with only $1,000 down. So, the first thing I got for you is just get creative. I mean, if I said I could sell you a Lamborghini for $1,000, you'd find a way to make the money. Work some overtime, maybe get a credit card. Yes, that's bad when you spend it on liabilities, but if you use it to make some money, it's just fine. Sell some stuff on eBay, ask friends and family for a loan, offer it with interest, go to Craigslist, do some odd jobs, drive for Lyft or Uber, go perform some tasks on Fiverr. You don't even need highly specific skills. You can probably spin blog articles or something like that. My point is that you are an entrepreneur now, so you got to be resourceful and find solutions. A lot of people come to me with these what-if situations, well, what if I say this and the seller gets upset? Or, what if I don't know what to say? And then because of these problems, potential problems they create, they never take action. So start solving small problems and you'll get better at solving all problems. Next, you can just try and do deals with smaller earnest money deposits. If the seller says no, just say okay, and then you agree to a higher EMD. And then, I'll talk some more about those techniques. Next, you could just do assignment deals. When you assign a contract, the end buyer puts up the earnest money deposit. Same if you flip in a land trust. Now, this will probably be a smaller pool of deals. Assignments are often easier to do, but in highly competitive situations, those contracts are less likely to be accepted. And then you have some deals like REOs that won't accept assignable contracts. But if you really don't have those funds, you might just want to do assignment-only deals. Maybe you complete one, you make $10,000, and then put away $1,000 to use for future EMD. Or you can just leave it at your title company as an evergreen deposit and get a proof of deposit, letter that you can use in the future. And I like to think of it as like a video game. It's the nerd in me that comes out. But when you start playing, you have nothing. You have no money. Maybe you start with a wooden sword and shield. And the more you play missions, you get money, you get inventory, parts of the map open up, and you have access to more things. I mean, I had someone email me the other day asking how to flip a 22-unit apartment with no money. I mean, nothing, like not even enough for a deposit. And there might be a way to do that, probably, but I don't know that way. And it seems like it'd be a lot harder, a lot more cumbersome. So my advice was, hey, man, why don't you just focus on the deals you can do very easily with no money? Put together some capital, and then when you have a little bit something to work with, maybe some more leverage or whatever, then go back and try to do the bigger deals, So yeah, just kind of, you'll work your way up. Now the next thing I want to talk to you about is, this is the part I didn't kind of want to put on YouTube, so I'm going to get some backlash for that. But let me start by saying this, right? I did a video a while back about, earnest money deposits and stuff like that. And one of the reasons sellers and agents will kind of harass you for it is because they want to ensure that you're a serious buyer. They're kind of screening you. And that's usually because you presented yourself in such a way that there was some reason maybe for them to doubt or not be fully confident. Some people just ain't like that. That's what is a lot of time. And we can tell a lot about a person by their demeanor, by the way they speak. You don't need to try and brag or be flashy, but you want to display confidence. You want to speak with authority. You want to be a little bit demanding. You want to set your expectations. Then you also want to learn and use some industry jargon. So when I type an email, for example, I write, I'll send H and B later today. And I don't do that because I'm lazy. I do that because H and B means highest and best. So that's my highest price and the best terms. And using industry shorthand like that displays a level of competency, and the underlying assumption is that I know what I'm doing and that I've done this before. If you're talking to a guy like Robert Kiyosaki and you had never heard of him before, after speaking with him for just a few minutes, I would imagine, I haven't met the dude, but I would guess you would probably leave the conversation feeling like he's serious. Sorry. He's smart, he has money, he knows what he's doing, he's done this before, all without seeing his bank account. And so that's why it's very important that you educate yourself, that you're watching videos like this. This is awesome. But you also want to learn, and by getting out into the field and actually doing these things. You won't pick up all the jargon in a textbook. You really got to put yourself out there. But my point is, you want to come across as experienced, knowledgeable, and confident, and then you're not going to get harassed so much over things like EMD or these strict deadlines. Or if you request an extension or something like that, you won't be scrutinized as harshly in a vast majority of the cases. Now remember, what I'm saying here, this is not a long-term solution. It's not something you want to be doing all the time. And again, this is the part where I'm going to be giving a lot of shit for this. But if I posted this type of advice on like Bigger Pockets forum, he's got to try and tear me a new one. But I mean, even though this is kind of sketch, it's not an ideal way to do it. But I mean, we're talking about you got kids to feed. Your pockets, we're talking about your pockets, and sometimes you do what you got to do. And it's funny because the same people who talk shit on that website would be the same ones to benefit from your work in the near future. So again, you don't want to be doing this for every deal. You want to be able to have the option at least to put up those deposits. Again, they are fully refundable. So now that I've kind of given that disclaimer a few times, the advice is like you just don't put up the EMD and you get really good at stalling. You've already established yourself as a legit buyer who's exuding confidence, and now you just got to be very confident with your stalling. And this won't work 100% of the time, by the way, but again, it doesn't have to. Now also, I'm not qualified, I'm not an attorney or qualified to give legal advice, but I'm just saying this is my personal experience. Because you are signing legally binding documents, you need to be aware of that. But in my personal experience, there's kind of the way things should work contractually, and then the way things actually work. So, if a contract says something like the acceptance date is tomorrow and you sign and send it back a day late, 2 days later, usually you're just going to run with the same contract and it's not going to be a big deal. Earnest money deposit, especially when it's in like the $1,000 range, oftentimes works like that. So if the seller agent calls to ask, hey, where is it? Don't be in a super rush to return the call or panic. You call them, you say, I'm just going to review the contract one more time. I'll get it in. Then the next day it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Or, I just didn't have time. I'll get to it tomorrow. The next day, hey, my partner and I, we just want to take a look at the property one more time. And then, don't ghost the agent or seller. You want to stay in communication. Be relaxed. Be confident. Again, not ideal, but you just got to find ways to stall. Oh, my partner said he was going to put the deposit up yesterday. Let me see what's going on. And yeah, it's a little rough, but that's kind of the way that you need to do it in the very beginning. Okay, so our next one here, pulled this month's probate list. Is it too soon for the families with a recently deceased family member don't want to offend? All right, so this kind of goes back to thinking of all the things that could go wrong instead of what can go right, and letting that stop you from taking action. I mean, think about this logically. Anyone who tells you, hey, 14 days or X amount of days is scientifically shown to be less offensive about the death of a loved one. I mean, come on, man, it's just complete bullshit. It doesn't make any sense, right? Will it be too soon for some families? Maybe. I mean, every family, every situation, different life experiences, every culture is different. There really is no universal answer to this question, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. I mean, some people, yes, will be offended. Some people, probably most people, will be neutral, and some people will need your services. So try and be sensitive to the situation. Definitely be empathetic and apologetic if necessary, But you can't not pursue leads because there is some potential that maybe some subsection of a targeted list might be offended by your call some of the time, right? Next, can I wholesale if I'm a realtor? Yes, you can. It's like asking, can I buy a house if I'm a realtor? A lot of wholesalers are licensed realtors. You just need to disclose that you are a licensed agent during the process. This one, I found a house that says "Se habla español." I don't speak Spanish. And this one kind of angers me, man. This is not something you should even waste time asking me about. Remember what I said about figuring shit out? And, I always talk about speed of implementation and operating with a sense of urgency. You cannot steal properties in slow motion. As a wholesaler, you are a problem solver. You have to think outside the box and just take action. The first thing you need to do is just call. It says they speak Spanish. It doesn't say they speak Spanish exclusively. Maybe you can communicate if you both know some words. Maybe they have kids in the house or another family member that can translate. Maybe you could get someone to translate for you. If that doesn't work, it's 2019, man. Use Google Translate. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, it doesn't get easier than this. You can use voice, you can text. Like, sometimes you gotta think outside the box. And I get aggressive with this because, like, it drives me crazy, man. You gotta find, find ways and solutions to make this stuff work. And this is not something that you want to wait, email me. I might take a day or 2 days, a few days, because this, like a lot of these things, right? This is not a student. This is just a random person sent me this. When you should have just made the call. Again, it says we speak Spanish, not exclusively necessarily. So you got to make the call before you start thinking of all this shit in your head that could possibly, potentially not work out or make your call more awkward. Just make the call, right? Okay, so let's see. We have one more I had here. Okay. Why do you say to talk only to a listing agent? What's the difference? So you guys probably told me when you're making deals on listed offers already on the MLS, and typically what you're doing here is you're looking for houses that show signs of distress, meaning they're probably broken down, vacant. The uglier they are, really, the better they are. When they're on the MLS, the listing agent is the real estate agent who they sign a listing agreement with the seller, and they're the person that puts that property onto the MLS and then advertises it. Now, here's the thing. As a realtor, you have a fiduciary agreement with your seller or the folks you represent, essentially to look out for their best interests, right? So that means you have to, for example, present them with all offers that are submitted. Even if it's low, even if you don't like it, you're supposed to do that. Now, in reality, that doesn't always happen. It's similar to what we talked about in the contracts. Some realtors do things on purpose, and some realtors... Well, let me go back for just a second. So the listing agent is the one that puts the property on the MLS. Now, typically, the buyer's agent, that's another real estate agent who comes into the picture and finds the buyers and then brings them to the property, shows them around. Typically, they're showing people a lot of different properties. And then if the buyer with the buyer's agent chooses to purchase that property, there's a commission, real estate commission. Typically, it's 6%. And then those two agents split it, 3% and 3%. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier is, yes, realtors are supposed to do things like present all offers. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Because what happens is if the listing agent finds a buyer for that property on their own without another agent, so if someone sees the ad on Craigslist, for example, and contacts them directly, they get to keep the full 6%, right? So even though they're supposed to present all offers, some just might not. If you're coming in with a buyer's agent, which is, kind of unethical, but it happens all the time. And then some might, they do influence the seller. They are the professionals. So they'll say, hey, I really like this offer that came in without the buyer's agent, without taking half my commission versus, this other offer. Or if you make the offer with the buyer's agent, they might be a little bit slower about presenting your offer. They might talk more negatively about your offer. They might scrutinize you harder. So whereas if you go direct to the agent, they just want to make your deal go through. So they might not push as hard to see your proof of funds, to see your earnest money, stuff like that. Whereas if you come in with a buyer's agent, they might want to be like, hey, I'm not, we need the earnest money now by the due date. We need the proof of funds now by the due date, stuff like that. And the example that I use is that, check this out. If you have a house, right, and your offer is $100,000 and you don't have a buyer's agent, so you go direct to the listing agent and you say, hey, I want to make a $100,000 offer. That listing agent will get paid 6%, so that $6,000 goes right into their pocket. Now, someone else comes behind you and they say, we want to offer $120,000. That's $20,000 higher. For those of you who struggle with the math, it's $20,000 higher. But because they brought a buyer's agent, that 6% of that is now like $7,200, right? And then the agents have to now split that $7,200, so now they're only getting paid like $3,600. So even though that offer is $20,000 higher, they're making almost half of the commission. They're making $3,600 as opposed to $6,000. So you can see why, when you make it in their best interest, they're a lot more likely to push your offer through a lot easier and have the seller select your offer. You're much more likely to get the contract, even if it's at a much lower price. So that's the difference between listing agent and buyer's agent, and why you want to go direct, right? Always go to the source of the deal, cut out any extra expenses, middlemen, stuff like that. All right, so I got to roll, but I look forward to getting these questions. I'm going to be checking all of these and coming up with some great content for you guys. So again, if you would just hit the link in the description here and send me your questions so it can be featured on the next video. So I have some topics and some stuff to talk about, and I know what you guys want me to answer. So again, thank you so much for watching the video, supporting the channel. Definitely hook it up with some subscribes if you haven't done that yet. Some likes would be dope. Hit the notification bell so you see when I do have next videos. The more surveys get filled out, the more stuff I have to talk about, the sooner I can get you guys more videos and get you closer to your next deal and or hopefully multiple deals. So thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.